Hey everyone, welcome back for another memory keeping video. This week we are using leftovers from Batter Up by Cafe with Anna. I swapped this out for my Anastasia kit for May because we ended up going to a baseball game for our minor league team this week. And also I kind of realized the Anastasia kit seemed more like November, December vibes instead. So I have already pulled the stickers I'm going to use from the kit because I needed to figure out if I had enough labels to actually make these leftovers work. And I did. I did have to pull in stuff from my leftovers collection. I have a binder where I store by color coding any kit leftovers once I get down to like the nubs of a kit. So I pulled in a lot of like black and yellow labels on glossy paper from that leftovers collection, and that was able to get me through the week. I didn't have like a ton of things to mark this week, luckily, so that's part of why it worked out. And then for my underlays, I don't always use underlays, but sometimes I do. These are from Magical Sticker Co. They are the baseball pattern in the blue pebbles foil, which I thought matched pretty well for this like blue and orange mostly kit. They show up a lot better on camera, the pattern, than they do in real life, which is funny because in real life you don't see like the blue pebbles very much, but on camera you can actually see the foil pattern, so that's cool. I could have just gotten these in like a regular blue, but I wanted to see like what the blue pebbles would look like in real life because it's a really pretty pattern. I think they would be great for like solid color underlays. But yeah, it turned out pretty well with this baseball pattern as well. So I'll probably be reordering these baseball underlays. I'll probably be reordering this kit at some point because it is like probably my favorite baseball kit that's out there, even if the Mets aren't necessarily my team, purely based on geography. But yeah, I'm really happy to use this again. We went and saw our local minor league team, the Sacramento River Cats. They played the Sugarland Space Cowboys, which is the single best minor league team name I've ever heard in my life. I think another one that has popped up that I like a lot is the Albuquerque Isotopes. And then I like the Sacramento River Cats. What is a river cat? I don't know. I don't think any of us know. Our mascot is a cat, which is great. I think our team's been around since 2000, so we're like newer. But yeah, it's a cat named Dinger. The mascot costume is looking very old lately. I think they need to refurbish it. And then I remember around this time, they posted for Mother's Day, and I guess they have a second costume for Dinger's mother. I don't know what his mom's name is, but like they have like a geriatric cat with a walker wearing like a dress that is supposed to be his mother, who they bring out on Mother's Day. I'm like, the lore for this team, I swear. We lost miserably this day, and this game was at 1 p.m. And it wasn't particularly hot this week. It was like in the 80s, but because it was 1 p.m. and because like the bowl of the field is like all concrete and there was no shade, it felt really, really hot. So it was kind of like a little bit of a miserable experience, I'm not gonna lie. And then we lost on top of it, but we got some barbecue, we got some frozen lemonade. These tickets were $10. Can't complain too much. So I do think though that if I'm going to go to another game this year, it is going to be a Friday or a Saturday night game. Because usually they have special promotions. The tickets are a little bit more expensive, but then also you get fireworks at the end of the night as well. And then also you only sit in the sun for like the first half an hour to hour of the game, if even that. So yeah, learned the hard way that this was a little bit uncomfortable, but we had a good time regardless. In the sidebar, I have a habit tracker for flossing, I have a weekly checklist for my leftovers collection for dinners, and then I decided to end up using the heart checklist from the kit just to fill up the space because I didn't know how else I was going to fill up the space. And I just wrote in the hours that I worked for work this week because this was my last week of work for the semester before summer break. So I finished grading. Really, I could have finished grading on Tuesday, but because of the Canvas outage that happened a couple of weeks prior, I originally had my students' final projects due on the 15th, so the week before this, but then I left those open until the last day of our finals week, which was the 21st, and then that was like the hard cutoff, like, I want to get grades done. I don't think grades were due until the next week, but I was done, like I said, with grading on Tuesday, and so Wednesday I didn't really work much other than answering emails, and then Thursday Same thing as Wednesday. And then Friday, I went in, took all the late work. Not a lot of people took advantage of that, unfortunately. But there were a few late assignments that I could grade. And then I turned in grades, and that was that. So I have been on summer break and haven't been doing anything too exciting, but I'm trying to embrace having rest time. I know that's like a luxury, but also I end up neglecting a lot of things during the school year because I can't really take any time off during the school year. It's really hard. So basically, I spend my summer doing normal people things that I don't have time for during the school year, where like normally people would just take like a half week off here or there if they needed to get these things done. I have to wait till the huge chunk of time I have off in the middle of the year. Anyway, Monday I marked doing yoga, I marked grading papers, and then finishing grades for one of the districts that I was working for. Their grades were definitely due this week, so I wanted to make sure I got that stuff done as early as possible. Then I got some birthday cards in the mail, so that was fun. And unfortunately, though, there was a really horrible thing that happened at the Islamic Center in San Diego this day. And I have family that lives in San Diego, so that was kind of scary. And then I rounded out that day by watching Last Week Tonight and Josh Johnson. Tuesday, I marked something related to visiting Redwoods National Park later this year with these shoes from Carly Plans. I did yoga again, and then I spent about like 4 or 5 hours this day just grading everything that was in my inbox, little bits and bobs from the end of the semester. So I was technically done grading this day, but like I said, I was still accepting late work for those last few assignments, so I wasn't fully done until Friday. And then I voiced over a plan with me. So I have these headphones from Corks and Corgs Co. I think it's funny how much like open space I had on this week because there wasn't space taken up by full glitter headers and everything. But like when you spend the money on an underlay, don't you want the pattern to show a lot anyway? So I think this is a really good feature of using leftovers with underlays because you can see the underlays like so much more. Anyway, and then this was the last week of Stephen Colbert's Late Show, which makes me very sad. I didn't watch the show a whole ton, but like I watched it pretty frequently, especially like when I took Clover to Colorado for like a 7-month period from the end of 2023 to 2024. It'd be like the only thing on that I was interested in once I got to the hotel that night where I was taking her. Anyway, so they had some specials. They had like one regular episode this week, I think on Tuesday, and then the other days were like special episodes. So Tuesday, this would have been Monday's episode, I watched The Worst of the Late Show, which they were like, or he was like, Stephen Colbert was like, we're not going to make a best of show. You have YouTube. You go do that. So they showed like a bunch of stuff that they've never aired because it was like deemed too stupid or like not funny enough or just bad to like put on CBS. So that was really funny. Wednesday marked 6 years since our dog Madison passed away. It also marked 2 years since Clover was FIP free. And then I watched the MCR Welcome to Rockville Festival concert. So that corgi is from Corks and Corgs Co. I did yoga, voiced over another plan with me, listened to a bunch of podcasts, did a little bit of reading. I'm reading White Teeth right now. I'm reading a couple of different books right now, actually. And then I watched whatever, it must have been Tuesday's episode of The Late Show with Stephen Colbert and watched a bunch of Last Week Tonight. And then our friends came home from Europe. Good for them. Wednesday, my husband worked from home. I did some stretches. I filmed a plan with me. The camera at the top of Thursday is from Corks and Corgs Co. Listened to a bunch of podcasts. And then Stephen Colbert had this segment on his show called The Colbert Questionnaire, where he would interview celebrities. And it was like 11 questions or something. I don't remember the exact number, to like make you be like known to the world. And like anytime a celebrity would try to like turn the question back on him, he'd be like, no, I don't answer the questions. But this night, this would have been, I think, Wednesday's episode, a bunch of celebrities came in to give the Colbert Questionnaire to him. So to ask all of those questions and have him answer them. One of them I always remember is like, what is the best sandwich? Let me know down below. What is the best sandwich in your opinion? But yeah, with the worst of the Late Show and then with the Colbert questionnaire, I'm sure on CBS they had like a time limit, but like on YouTube they uploaded like the whole unedited, uncut for time thing. So it was hilarious. Aubrey Plaza was on there, and I think she's funny. So, and she had this whole like definitely what they cut for time thing with like her pregnancy and being like, I'm in labor right now. It's like, I hope not. Anyway, so I thought that was really funny. And then this night was the night that Olivia Rodrigo's music video for The Cure came out, which was like hospital themed. She's dressed up as a nurse in that. So I used this like vaccine sticker from Sweet Ava's paper for that. I think that music video is incredible, and I can't wait to hear the rest of the album. Friday, my husband worked from home for like half the day. I had an appointment, and then I came home, graded the late work, and submitted grades, and put my vacation email on. And I was like, wow, it's summer break now. Unfortunately, this weekend in my husband's hometown, there was this chemical facility that was having an emergency. So like one of our friends was visiting, and her family and her husband's family, they don't live there anymore, but their families do, and they had to be evacuated. So that was kind of a wild weekend. They didn't get it resolved until like the next Tuesday. So people were out of their homes for a while. Luckily, nobody got hurt. Like they managed the disaster, but it really calls into question why they built a bunch of houses right by something like that. That seems kind of dumb, if you ask me. And then this night, I watched the last show with Stephen Colbert. It would have aired on the Thursday prior, so the day before. And I marked it with this snow globe sticker because there's this like sweet moment at the very end of the show where he's walking his dog, and like the whole theater, the Ed Sullivan Theater, has been like condensed down into a little snow globe, and his dog's like smelling it. So yeah, his last guest was Paul McCartney, and they sang together like Hello Goodbye, and I'm like it's like, yeah, it's not, I kept having to remind myself, I'm like, he's not dying, he's not dead, he will be around, it's just he's not going to have the show anymore. And if you're not aware about all of the weirdness that's going on with CBS lately, like with 60 Minutes as well, Scott Pelley, is that his name? Like there's some stuff going on over at CBS, and that it's not good. So we all should be paying a little bit more attention, I think, because it's kind of disturbing what is happening with control over the media right now. Saturday, I marked 5 months till Casey Musgraves. I played with Clover. I had some financial paperwork to do, and then a local nursery was moving, so a garden nursery, moving from one location to another. So they were having like a sale this day to eliminate stuff that they would need to move otherwise. So I ended up buying a catnip plant, and then I came home and realized we also had this old bundle of cat grass seeds. So I went and planted those. So the cats have had lots of plants to nosh on lately. We watched Return of the King this weekend. We stretched it over like 2 different days. And then Sunday we went to the baseball game, got barbecue and frozen lemonade. It was so hot. Like I said, temperature wise, it really wasn't that hot, but like because of where we were, like on the concrete, it was just super hot there. And then at the end of Sunday, I watched Stephen Colbert host this public access television show called Only in Monroe. I guess he did this like once 10 years ago as well, but they invited him back. It was so funny. It's on YouTube. Go find it if you like this type of humor. I thought it was hilarious. So yeah, it was like kind of celebrating his end of his tenure at CBS. So that is this week. I think it turned out pretty good considering I was piecing together a ton of leftovers. Let me know what you think down below. I hope you're having a good week, and I will talk to you in the next one. Bye!